The first New Hampshire project funded through the American Recovery and Reinvestment Act began today, with National Transportation Secretary Ray LaHood on hand to mark the occasion. Governor John Lynch and the three members of the state's congressional delegation who voted for the $789 billion stimulus package were on hand for a groundbreaking ceremony in Epping, even though the project won't actually break any ground. The first stimulus project in New Hampshire repaves 9.5 miles of road on Route 101 between Epping and Exeter. That project was already scheduled to start using state money before the federal stimulus plan was adopted. A day after thousands of New Hampshire citizens stood up against out-of-control spending, state officials and the construction industry sat down to celebrate the windfall of federal money flowing to New Hampshire roads and bridges. The Business and Industry Association held a lunchtime forum in Concord discussing the challenges facing New Hampshire's transportation infrastructure.
If I take a look from the vantage point of Washington and look across the country, one thing is clear to me, that we have much too long deferred the maintenance of our transportation infrastructure. We have not spent over time the money we have needed to spend to maintain what we have, let alone keep pace with what we need.
Congressman Paul Hodes supported the record-spending stimulus bill. He says he's seen firsthand the need to rebuild roads and bridges.
We're going to accelerate many of the projects which would not have been reached for many years absent this funding. One that comes to my mind is the Route 4 bridge to West Lebanon. It was Swiss cheese, and it was just red listed. I visited it and got underneath, and I'm telling you, if that is an example of what we're dealing with in the state, we've got a lot of work to do, and very quickly, both for safety, utility, and economic growth.
This bridge is now a poster child for the Stimulus Act from supporters who say infrastructure projects like this justify the huge price tag to taxpayers now and in the future. Nationally, $27.5 billion of the stimulus has been set aside for highway and bridge projects. Of the $129 million headed to New Hampshire for highway and bridge construction, $11 million would be set aside in the state aid program. According to New Hampshire DOT spokesman William Boynton, $10 million of the set aside for cities and towns will go directly to bridges. Boynton says the state will spend $1.75 million in stimulus funding on bridge projects and spend down an additional $11 million in surplus federal money that's been awarded to New Hampshire for projects but never spent. Boynton calculates New Hampshire DOT will spend a total of $22.75 million in federal money on bridge repair this year. For that $10 million pot, New Hampshire cities and towns have already put forward $25 million in local eligible projects. They'll be awarded first come, first served. Panelists agreed that the federal stimulus money was needed to cover short-term needs, but that New Hampshire needs to increase highway spending much more over the long term. They disagreed on where to get the money. Transportation Commissioner George Campbell wants to increase tolls on the turnpike system.
The average per mile cost of tolls in New Hampshire is 5 cents. The national average cost is 10 cents per mile. The national average is 10, and we're 5. We have a lot of room to grow there and get people to pay for the system they're using.
State Representative David Campbell would rather increase the gas tax. His bill, which has already cleared the House, would raise the tax 15 cents per gallon over 3 years.
It's fair because every penny of this tax, every penny goes to the construction, reconstruction, and maintenance of local and state roads and bridges. No diversion, it all goes to roads and bridges. Construction, reconstruction, and maintenance. It's fair because our committee, the Public Works and Highways Committee, has carefully studied this for 3 years in a bipartisan way. We voted 14-3 for it, bipartisan, and the House of Representatives passed it as well. It's least painful and not painless. Nothing's painless when it comes to taxes, but it's the least painful because each nickel increase will cost the average driver about $25 more per year, which is $75 once it's fully phased in. Increasing tolls, which is the other proposal, that could cost hundreds of dollars a year.
Christian Zimmerman is president of Pike Industries, one of the Granite State's leading construction firms, and a company that'll be first in line to receive a share of whatever new money is poured into New Hampshire roads.
It's encouraging to hear that the debate is all around how we increase revenues, not whether we need to increase revenues. You know, I think David Campbell and Candace Bouchard, who have led the charge on increasing the road toll. And by the way, my humble opinion is that a lot of the reason why the road toll gets a bad rap is because it has a nickname called the gas tax. And it seems that anytime anybody says the word tax, everyone goes, oh no. It's not a tax, it's a user fee.
One thing the panelists all seem to agree on, New Hampshire drivers will soon be paying much more for the privilege. For the Josiah Bartlett Center for Public Policy, Grant Bosse reporting.